guys, it's Krista G again, and welcome to the part 2 of how to become an international student here in Canada.
So for today's video, we will be talking about the step-by-step process on how to apply a student visa here in Canada.
You mentioned searching for schools, programs. Is there anything that they need to know?
There are certain programs that are not eligible for postgraduate work permit. If you're planning to take just one year program, you have to make sure that the school is a designated learning institution or a DLI.
Meaning to say that they are eligible to offer postgraduate work permit, right?
Right.
Because I have known someone na nag-enroll og one program, then pag-abot pa niya jud diri siya sa Canada, nakabalo nga ang iyang gi-enroll na program dili di ay eligible mukuha og postgraduate work permit. So dili pa niya nahibalaan. So beware lang ta ana nga dapat jud mo mag-search nga inyuhang school is eligible for postgraduate work permit.
Yeah. I just want to add on that. Maybe you're planning to go for agencies, and you have to make sure na ang agencies is known na for sending international students from the Philippines.
Yeah.
Okay, there are some agencies nga they will just offer like whatever programs they can offer, right?
Yeah. All matters to them, like the money.
Yeah, so that's one of the things that you need to consider as well.
Yeah. Talking with like agency, how much do you pay for it?
So in my case, I actually did both. So for my agency, it cost me 500 Canadian dollars, so that's more or less 20,000 pesos, just to secure my seat to the school, or just to give me my acceptance letter from the school.
Yeah.
So for each agency, the agency fee varies from agency to agency, right? So the fee can range up to like 20,000 to 60,000 pesos.
Yeah. So let's say you're done doing your research, and now let's proceed to gathering all your documents.
Mostly they will ask for your school credentials. Sometimes the school may require you to go for WES evaluation, just to determine that your education is comparable to Canadian post-secondary education. Some schools may also require you to take IELTS or English exam.
Let's go back to doing the WES. Do you need to pay for it?
Yeah, for sure you need to pay for it.
You have to pay around 100 Canadian dollar to 150 Canadian dollar, and you will get the result in 7 days. 7
business days, yeah. Some agencies will cover for your IELTS fee.
Yeah.
So during my time, again, I just did a self-review. My preparations were just watching YouTube videos and reading dictionaries just to enrich my vocabulary. You know, it's really expensive, right? Mahal kayo ang IELTS, and I can't afford to take another exam because that's gonna be another 20,000 pesos. So which I can't afford. Aside from that, I'm targeting September intake during that time, and I'm in a tight schedule, so I can't really afford to fail for that exam. And luckily, nakapasar ako.
Yeah, and good news, guys. There are some schools that they don't require IELTS.
Yeah, so in our previous video, we already talked about this. Like some schools here in Ontario doesn't require you to take IELTS or any English exams, especially if you're from the Philippines, for the main reason that we're familiar with the English language, right? Gamit man gud pud tag English sa schools. Ang medium for teaching nato kay English man sad. Somehow we makaistorya or makasabot ra jud pud tag English. So that's maybe one of the reasons why the schools here in Ontario they exempt Filipino international students for taking IELTS.
How about like paying tuition fee? Do you need to pay like the whole tuition fee?
You just need to pay for half of the tuition fee. So for my case, since my my tuition fee for my program was 14,000, I have to pay 7,000 Canadian dollars. So that's 280,000 pesos.
Yeah. Mas nindot di ay ko 1 year ay mong i-enroll, no? Then diri na lang ka mag-decide og mag-additional kag.
I mean, there are pros and cons too, but if you have the funds, go right away for two programs. But if you have limited funds, I mean, especially if you're planning to bring your family with you, go for one program first. If you come here, that's when you apply, or that's when you extend your study permit for another year. If you're planning to go for 2 years, so you need 20,000 Canadian dollars for your daily expenses here plus the 2 years tuition fee. So let's say one year tuition fee is like 15 or 14 or 15,000. So you're going to need
60.
yeah.
More, so
No.
50 to 60.
So let's say 15,000. So for 2 years you need 30,000 plus 20,000 Canadian dollars for your daily expenses. So you need to have 50,000 Canadian dollars.
Yeah. It's,
So how much is that in peso?
I
2
think
million?
2 million.
Yeah. So that's 2 million.
First requirement is the proof of acceptance.
So that's your acceptance letter from the school.
From the school. And
Yeah.
next is the proof of identity. Like you need to have your passport and your recent passport size photos.
Yes.
Yeah. And next is like the proof of financial support.
So again, as I mentioned earlier, if you're planning to study for a year program, you need to have 10,000 Canadian dollars to sustain your daily expenses here in Canada for 1 year. So that's 10,000 Canadian dollars. And also I mentioned that you just paid for half of your tuition fee. So for your proof of funds, you need to have like the other half of your tuition fee in your bank account. So 10,000 Canadian dollars plus 7,000 Canadian dollars. You need to have 17,000, more or less 17,000 Canadian dollars in your bank account, provided that you're just going for 1 year program and you're just processing for yourself. Para sa imuha lang jud na 10,000 Canadian dollars.
Wala pa ilabot imong family,
Wala
right?
ilabot imong family. So if you check in the Canadian immigration website, you'll find there the necessary amount for each family members that you bring.
Yeah. Do they need to make Canadian bank account?
Okay, so there are two ways. You can deposit your funds into a Canadian bank under a GIC, meaning when you deposit your money, you cannot withdraw that money right away. Okay. So you're just allowed to withdraw like a portion of it each month until you withdraw all your money for the duration of your stay here in Canada. Tapos you can also do like a Philippine bank account or your local bank account wherever you are. Yeah. So all you just need to do is to provide like 4 months statement showing that you have this much in your bank account, a minimum of 17,000 Canadian dollars, let's say, if you're planning for a year program. There's also one way to prove your financial stability. Yes. So if you have like family here, you have relatives here,
yeah,
they can write you a financial support letter stating that they're willing to support you in your studies here, or that you're staying with them during your studies here. So that one is it's a big help too, because you don't need to secure that much of a money in your own bank account.
Yeah.
Especially if you have funds. But if money is not a problem for you, you can just like go directly for 2 years, right?
Yeah.
And then as long as you have the money, the funds in your bank account.
So I think there's no problem.
Yeah, I think there's no problem, or no matter how many family members you're planning to bring. So provided that's your spouse and your kids.
Let's talk about letter of like explanation or your study plan.
Yeah, so that's one of the most important requirements for visa application too, because I've heard of several instances nga na
Na-deny.
na-deny ang ilang visa application because the visa assessor or the evaluator is not convinced about their intent to study here in Canada.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that you need to prepare your visa.
You have to convince them.
That you have to convince that you're only here to study per se, that you're not planning to stay here for life.
Yeah.
So another requirement includes medical clearance, biometrics, and then police clearance.
Yeah.
So we already talked about the requirements. Now let's talk about the fees.
If you plan to have agency, so you will roughly pay around 20 to 60 pesos for the visa application. You have to pay 150 Canadian dollars, and for the biometric, it is 85 Canadian dollars per person. If you have family, it would cost you 150 per family.
Per family, yes.
Since we have our medical back home, cost us
20,000
pesos. It is around 280 Canadian dollars, and plus with the tuition fee.
Yeah, so tuition fee. So it again, it all depends to the school and the length of your program. So for a year program, the average tuition fee will cost you 14 to 15,000 Canadian dollars. So that's more or less 280,000 to 380,000 for just 1 year.
Yeah.
And that's even more for 2 years.
Yeah. Let's not forget WES evaluation. So you will pay 100 to 160 Canadian dollars. Your police clearance.
So that's more or less, let's say 1,000 to 1,500 pesos.
Yeah. And your IELTS.
Yeah, that's one thing too. So I think IELTS right now is 12,000 pesos.
Yeah.
Provided that you did not go for review centers. So if you choose to attend review classes, that's even more.
Yeah.
Roughly, this is the cost for just a year program and just for a single applicant. So I just want to add that there are two streams or two ways to process your study permit application. There's one called a regular stream, and there's this
regular
student direct stream.
Oh, yeah.
The regular stream, it is less expensive, but it's more lengthy in terms of the processing times.
Yeah.
As for the SDS or the student direct stream, it's more expensive, but then
you will get
your visa approval in
like
as early as
20 days.
20 days. Have the funds, then go right away for student direct stream. But then if you have plenty of time to prepare, why not go for regular stream, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, that all depends to you. Actually, there are pros and cons for doing DIY visa application and study permit application, and then going for agencies, right? As for me, I did DIY for my visa application, but the agency that I went to, they just secured my seat to the school and gave me my student my acceptance letter. So again, there are pros and cons for choosing between going for DIY student permit application and going for agencies.
Yeah.
You just have to make sure that the agency is legit. They are known for sending international students here in Canada. This will involve a big amount of money, so we can't afford to be scammed. I guess we've covered all of the things that we need to cover.
Yeah.
Kung wala pa mo naka-watch part 1 na niya video,
Just watch. Bye
Bye.
bye.